Registry, Ipower. So to help us through that, we have a special guest that you guys may know of, Jen Hottle. Jen, can you wave for everyone so they can see who you are? Some of you may know Jen prior to COVID, if you would have attended trainings face-to-face, if she was facilitating, or if you've been on some of our virtual trainings, you may have already met her as well. She's been with Child Care Resource and Referral for almost 15 years now. And so she has a wealth of information, and prior to being our training specialist, she was actually a child care consultant. And prior to that, she was a home provider. So Jen really understands a lot of the pieces that you may have questions with, and she's not one to shy away from helping you out or figuring out the answer and taking it to the source that needs to go. So without further ado, thank you, Jen, for guiding us with this, with all the Ipower, and you can take it away.
Thanks, Esty. I'm excited to see so many people on here today that want to find out a little bit more about Ipower. This is exciting to me. So, and maybe you just have questions because you've been trying to figure out how to get enrolled in trainings and maybe to know if you are enrolled in a training or not. So we're going to go over all of that today. But before I do get into Ipower, Esty asked if I would show you the CCR&R website. And it is a favorite of mine, and it should be a favorite of yours as well. Can everybody see my screen? Are you seeing the website?
Nope, we are not seeing your screen.
Okay. How about now? No.
We can now see it, Jen.
You can see it now? Okay, good. So this is the CCR&R website. And like I said, if you haven't made this a favorite of yours, I would definitely do that. There's a lot to share on here and a lot to see. On this first page, some of those information, some of that information that Esty put in the chat box actually is right here on this front page. And if you have not already signed up for CCR&R and DHS email updates, you can sign up for that here. I'm specifically going to talk to you about the training portion of that. So if you look across the top, you'll see providers, families, communities, employers. And if you look even farther up in this gray section, you'll see the home, about us, staff, blog, data, media, news, training, and then employee section. If you click on the training section, this will be all about the foundational trainings that we offer. Talks a little bit about training when we're offering that face-to-face and what that looks like, and about some CDA content areas. And I hate this when people scroll too fast because I know it makes some of you sick. So I'm sorry about that ahead of time, but I am going to scroll down here. Here's where we're at the foundational trainings. Now, this gets updated very frequently. And actually, if you take a look at the first one that's on here, the All Our Kin virtual business series is brand new. It's actually starting next week. I know we have some of the providers from our region are already signed up for that. So that's exciting. But if you look at that, you'll have all of the trainings listed and the description. ChildNet 3.0, which is also new and has started. Emergency preparedness, which is another new training that we're going to be offering here in Blackhawk County in June. Some of the good old ones that we've had around here for a long time, essentials, Iowa early learning standards. So if you ever have a question about any of our foundational trainings, you can click on that and find out a little bit more about those. Down here, if you scroll down just a little bit farther, there are regional training announcements. You probably know that we are Region 2, and if you click on here on Northeast Iowa, it will bring up all of our calendars for January through June. And so if you need to look at those calendars again, we did send them out. Tara sent those out for us in a constant contact, but they are also listed on our website. So you can always go back there and look as well. And I'm going to show you how to find our other trainings on Ipower in just a minute. Scrolling down just a little bit farther, there's some online training opportunities. Virtual trainings have become necessary for us during this COVID time, which Now we're going on almost a year of doing this. If you remember last year at this time, we were starting to cancel some of our trainings that were face-to-face because of COVID. And we worked really quickly to try and figure out how we could bring trainings to you when we didn't really know how to make those go virtually. So it was a learning experience and curve for all of us, but I can say in the last year, we've learned a lot. And so a lot of our trainings we offer virtually, but here are some that are also appropriate for you, approved by DHS, and listed all right here in a nice format for the online trainings. So if you look at this, there's Better Kid Care, care courses, the Child Care Education Institute, Child Care Lounge, and so on. Some of those will have a fee, so you want to watch for that. Some of them are free, but that's a nice option for you if you're not finding exactly what you need at the time that you need it. So, I'm going to show you next the Ipower. Okay, is everybody seeing my screen again?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So this is the front page of Ipower, and mine is going to look a little bit different probably than yours. But when you first get in here and log on, you're going to see your login information here, and you'll click in and automatically be logged on. Hopefully it's working. Yes, it is. This is good and exciting. It's going to look a little bit different. Like I said, I have some different capabilities than what you do as a provider. But if you go here from Google, you can get on Ipower this way. If you are interested in updating your information, and this is really extremely important for us, is to keep all of this information updated. Not only your personal information, but especially in this time of virtual trainings, your email address is extremely important, and also your physical address is really important. So if you can look at yours either at the top over here, or you can look over here and you can go to your profile. I don't mind sharing mine at this point. So you can all take a look at my personal information on here. But if you look at this information, if there is something that needs to be updated or changed, when you get to this site, you'll click on the edit button over here. That will take you to, are you still seeing mine every time I click? Is it, okay, sorry. This will allow you to update certain fields. Now, fields that you cannot update would be your name, date of birth, and it looks like your gender. Your name, you cannot update that because DHS has to actually go in and verify that. So if you have recently gotten married, which happens a lot in this field, you will have to let DHS know of that change. If you're a home provider, you usually can catch that on your enrollment on your registration papers when you renew. If you're a center, you'll have to let DHS know that so they can make that change. Otherwise, you can go in here and change your own information. If I scroll down just a little bit farther, this is the stuff we really want to look at right here. Our personal email and work email. Make sure that this is always up to date and current. This happens a lot. When I go to send out a link for a training, I will get bounce back emails. That means that you're not getting that link for the training. So then you wonder why you're not getting that information. It's probably because your email is not working. And a lot of times, if we have the time, we will reach out to you and try and get that corrected. But sometimes we're really short on time. And so it's why it's extremely important for you to always keep that up to date, whether you work in a center or whether you're at home. So you can go in, make changes here, your address. especially like I said, during this time of COVID is another thing that's really important for us to have you keep current. Because right now we're sending out all of our certificates. If we send out your certificate and it's gone to the wrong address, it's going to come back to us. So I always try and mention when I'm starting a training that your certificate is going to be sent to whatever address you have provided on Ipower. So I always try and get the providers to go back in there and take a look at that just to make sure that information is updated. So if you need to make any changes, you can make those here. And then you will have to click on here to let the system know that you are saving the changes, and click here and it will all be saved. So really important information for you to know there. Now, let's go back to search a training. Let's try that first. Are you still seeing my screen? Okay, thanks. If you know the name of the training, you can search by the name. You can also search by our region. So if you were to get on Ipower and you were on your front page, you could search trainings directly from here. It's going to bring up some different ways to search. So you can search by the title, like I said, right here. I have a PITC training that starts this weekend. So let's see if I put in PITC, if I could search that way. It's going to show me all of the PITC trainings that are happening across the state. Now, the next two, as you see on here that are coming up, are in New Hampton and Austin. It might also show ones from other regions of the state. You might not want to be looking for those. If you're looking for a face-to-face training, you might want to search just by our region. And so if you go over here and look, there's three buttons. There's the search button, which acts kind of like your enter button. There's a clear, and then there's a filter button. If you click on the filters, this is where you can search by our region. And we did just recently realize this, that if you are looking specifically for virtual trainings within Region 2, you do need to search by Region 2. We have listed all of our virtual trainings as other with date and time, and those don't, for some reason, because of the Ipower system, they're not being recognized as being specifically for Region 2. So you'll want to look specifically for Region 2 if you're looking for the ones that we have listed on the training calendars. And so that would be down here, PD organization. Or actually, I think there's a region button. Right here, I can search for Region 2 and apply the filters. And it's not working for me right now. Hang on. And if you click on that and put in Region 2, it's going to show you all of the specific trainings that are listed for Region 2. So if you take a look here, you'll see all of them. They're going to be from all 7 of our offices. Now, if you've taken a look at our calendars currently, you'll know that some of our trainings are face-to-face and some of them are virtual. So you'll want to look at that as well. If you want to enroll in a training this way, if I wanted to enroll in the face-to-face ChildNet, you can enroll right here on this button and enroll yourself in the series. That will send a message then to the Dubuque office that you've enrolled, and then you will either be put on a wait list or approved or denied, depending on different criteria. And so I'm going to go back up here and I'm going to use Melina as kind of our guinea pig. She is currently our awesome intern that we have helping us. And she said it's okay if we show her information. So we're going to look at hers. So I had Melina yesterday enroll in a couple of trainings. One that I approved her for and one that is kind of hanging out there, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. So if Melina goes to her profile page, she can take a look up here at this information. She can look at her enrollments. If you click on enrollments, this is going to show you any classes, series, or conferences that you might currently be enrolled in. So the little classes icon is the little graduation hat. And the series is the stack of books. And then the conference is a person at a podium. Okay, so if we look at classes, that's what's showing currently on this front page. So it looks like Melina tried to get into the training, Understanding Bias and Working with People in Challenging Situations. If you take a look right here, this little flag says that she's been put on a wait list. Now, if you are enrolled in a training, it's going to show that you're approved. This will say approved. If you have been denied for a training, that unfortunately does not show up on here. If you have been denied for a training, it actually will be wiped away from this field. So it will not show up. But she has been put on a wait list for this training. And if we look here at the series and click on that, it looks like she was approved for the Essential series. You see the approved flag. And she also has been approved for the PITC series. Now, I know that Melina, this training is actually a training that is for child care center directors. And so I'm going to go in later and deny her for that because it's a training only for directors, and then that's going to wipe away from that page. So we do have certain criteria. Sometime when you are enrolling in a training, you might be put on that wait list or you might be denied, unfortunately, because we're looking at providers from a specific area. And really, this probably doesn't mean a whole lot to you, but those trainings, because of the way they're funded, that's how we offer them. And so if a training is offered with just local funding, we may only allow the participants and providers from that local area to be in that training. So always keep that in mind. One thing I do like to tell providers when I have a conversation with them on a phone when they're trying to get into trainings is look at Region 2 trainings first. We're offering a lot of new trainings this spring. I've been really proud of this calendar and all of the offerings that we have out there. I would look at our calendars first because you're probably, because you reside in Region 2, have a better chance of getting into a training than someone from another region. Right now, we've had providers from all over the state trying to get into our trainings because we have a lot of them offered. And not every area right now is able to offer face-to-face trainings due to COVID. Some of those areas do not have the space available, unfortunately, to have the face-to-face trainings. And we're very lucky here in this region that we're able to work with some of our AEAs and some of our local areas to find space to offer face-to-face trainings for you. So we're very lucky here. And not everybody is necessarily from around the state looking to see if that training is actually face-to-face or virtual. So we have a lot of people trying to get into our trainings, and I understand it can be very frustrating if you're put on a wait list and it's something that you really want, or if unfortunately you're denied. But we do have a lot of, like I said, offerings available. And then if there's something that you're needing right away and we might not have something available, I would definitely take a look at that list of online trainings as well. If you, let's see if I can pull up this training. if Melina was interested in this training and she didn't know who the contact person was, on this, it's going to show me the time of the training, the number of hours. This shows that it's NAC approved. For those of you that are center directors, you might be interested in looking for NAC approved trainings. It's going to show me how the capacity, and it's going to show me down here who the contact information, where the contact information is. I'm actually the contact for this training. So if you have signed up for a training and you're not sure who to contact, you can always take a look on the training to see who to contact for more information. You can always contact me as well. And I think Esty said she would put my email address in the chat box as well. You can always contact me by email or by phone, and I will try and get back to you as soon as I can. But you can always look at the contact information down here on the training as well. So that's kind of handy. There has been a question about if you are a center director, how to remove staff from your list. And unfortunately, there's not an easy way of doing that. But what you can do is search for the profile again. And I'm just going to search Melina, although she may not have. She's not going to have the role, unfortunately, that we're looking at. But when we pull Melina up, if she had a role in working at your center, you can edit that information over here on My Roles and change that information. If you were a center director and you needed to release a staff person from your list within your facility, you can do that here under My Roles. And this is where you would change that, and it will come up over here. They'll ask for the release date, and they'll ask for a couple of other pieces of information that you may have to provide, and then you'll save that and they will be released from your center. This is always really important as well, because we always want to make sure that we have staff attached to the correct center. So when a staff leaves your center, that should be one of the first things that you do when you're kind of going through that checkout, I guess, when they're leaving, would be to have them leave on Ipower as well. And if they were to take a job in another center, then they would be able to attach themselves to that other center. It's going to be extremely important for us to have this information correct when we come out with the new IQ4K system. The IQ4K system is going to work with Ipower, and it's going to pull information from Ipower. So that's a good thing to do if you ever have downtime. And I know you probably don't have downtime right now, but when you do have some downtime, to go through and make sure that your staff information is updated and that you have the correct people attached to your center. I don't know, Esty or Emily, is there anything else specific that we wanted to take a look at? Maybe my professional development? Would that be something you want to look at?
That'd be great.
So let's look at Melina's again here. So I showed you my enrollments. You can also look at this tab up here at the top, and it says My Professional Development. If you click on here, it's going to show the trainings that you have listed. Maybe I will go and look at my profile and see if I have some other ones listed for you to see. Okay, this one is my profile again. So if you would look at your own profile, go to My Professional Development, it's going to show all of the trainings that you have taken. So this is really nice because if you're a home provider, we will show you how you can provide this information without having to necessarily send in all of the certificates that you have. So this is really nice. DHS has this great system so that they can go in here and look at that information when you are renewing. So if you just travel down the page here, you'll see mandatory child abuse I've taken and some ongoing professional development. These are the trainings that I've attended just within the last couple of years. This little green check on here means that it has been verified. Any training that you take with an approved training entity will have that green check. So that could be Child Care Resource and Referral, that could be Iowa State University Extension and Outreach, that could be the Child Care Lounge, that could be any of those trainings that are through an approved entity will have that green check. If you have taken a training from another approved entity that might not use the Ipower system, if you've taken a training maybe through an AEA, that certificate is not going to show up on here. And you probably want to have that listed. So you can click on the Add Training Certificate here. It's going to take you to another screen. Are you seeing my other screen that popped up, ladies? Okay, thank you. And then you'll look at your training certificate that you've been given by that organization, and you'll put in the title, the instructor, the type of credit, probably training hours, amount of credit, the completion date, the organization that issued that to you, and then you'll list the training type, the CDA content areas, and you will certify that the information is correct and save it, and you can upload that certificate right from your desktop, which is handy. So then your certificate will show up on this front page. Now, like I said, it won't have this green check mark until it has been verified by someone at DHS. So if you're a home provider, that would be the registration unit. And if you work in a center, that would be your licensing consultant when they come out and do a visit. They would verify that information for you. So this is a lot to have on one page. But what you can do is come up here to Education and Professional Development. And I'm going to show you how you can just have a listing that you might want to print off. So we'll look here at this tab. It says Educational Professional Development. It shows the date today, so 3/4/21. This system always converts back to just 1 year. So it converts back to 1 year from today. So it went back to 3/4/20. If you're a home provider, your registration year is for 2 years. And so you would want to change that up here, and you can change the date and the year and save that and then pull up the information. Now I'm just going to look at the last year on mine. I click on Education and Professional Development, and right here, it's going to pull this up in a form that is quite handy and can be printed off and handed to your consultant, or it could be sent into DHS if you need to do that as well. If you look at this training registry form, it'll have the training title, if the training is NAC approved or not, the CDA subject content areas, what it pertains to, the date that it was completed, the description of the training, which is what's on Ipower, then the clock hours, and who offered that training. That will all be on this form. Down here at the bottom, it will list the total credits in clock hours. And you can see on here, mine's 9.5 currently. So as a home provider, you can always be looking at that and making sure that you're getting close to either your 12 or 24 hours if you're looking at 1 year or 2. Now, right now, there is a slight glitch in the system. And if you have taken Essentials and are registered, or if you're working in a center and taking Essentials, that is actually still showing up on your total. So don't let that fool you. that 12 hours of essentials actually has been showing up in the total credit hour. So you'll want to remind yourself of that when you're looking, if you're looking at this total hour. And a lot of times we're looking at this when we're having paperwork sent in for QRS, when we're looking maybe for those extra points in the professional development category. You want to make sure that you are looking at those hours minus 12 because your essentials is being counted in there. They are working on a fix for this, but unfortunately it's not turning out to be a very quick fix.
Jen, if I have a question,
Yeah.
we have no questions in the chat right now. So by the way,
Okay.
guys, if you have one, pop one in. But if they were going through in the training registry and they had some difficulty, can you give some guidance as to maybe the steps of who you contact and when you contact, such as their local consultant or yourself or the tech people for Ipower? Can you give some examples to that?
I'm sorry, hang on just a second, ST. I was gonna try and stop sharing my screen. Are you seeing?
I'm seeing your screen. Do you want me to?
Yeah, do you want to help?
Okay. You can just do stop screen share.
There we go.
I'm just thinking, just in case they have any questions, when is the time for them to contact you versus their local consultant versus maybe it's a tech issue on Ipower itself?
That's a really good question. There are some things that we can help you with on Ipower, and there are some things, unfortunately, that we can't. So if you have a question, I would go to your consultant first. A lot of times they're able to help you. If not, contact me, like I said, at my email address or give me a call. I do try and get back to providers very quickly because I know that you really probably, if you're calling me, you need something right away. And so I do try and drop what I'm doing and help providers first if I get a call. So you can always call me. And then the last resort as well is if you look at the front of Ipower, there is a little icon with a little envelope and it says contact Ipower. You can also do that. Now, some things, like I said, I can't help you with, and that would be like resetting your password, any kind of password recovery. I can't help you with those things. You will have to contact Ipower for that. But if you have a question and you're not sure, we can always lead you in the right direction. SD, if that's...
Thank you, Jen. I have a question that was asked. Will that's mandatory child abuse reporter training, will that ever be put on the Ipower site or done face-to-face anytime soon?
Okay, that's a couple of questions. Good questions. We are not doing mandatory child abuse reporter training face-to-face any longer. It has to be done online, and it's actually done through the DHS website. So if you work in a center, you might have a lot of logins that you're going to have to remember because you have to have a login to get into Ipower. You may have to have a login to get onto the DHS website. And then you may also have to have a login to get into Moodle. And some of you have taken your essentials online and gone through Moodle. So there's a lot of things to remember there. But no, unfortunately, you have to go to the DHS website to take that training. And hopefully, I have my fingers crossed on this, that soon that website will talk to the Ipower system and that information will dump in like it does for essentials. So currently, if you take essentials on the Moodle, it's supposed to be within 24 hours that information dumps on there and it shows up on that professional development page that I showed you earlier. Now, we have been having some issues recently with this, and not all of them are showing up, but it is on Erin Clancy's radar, and she does have her IT department working on that. So hopefully that will be fixed soon. But currently, if you have taken the mandatory child abuse reporter training and you have a certificate, just like I showed you before, you can go ahead and upload your certificate so that it will show up on your professional development for Ipower. So those were good questions.
I've put the link on our website to the, mandatory reporting, we sometimes call it M-Card, everyone, to the M-Card portion of our training. And there's a link on there that does take you to the DHS page if you need to take that. There is a question from Loretta, and Loretta, I don't know if I'm going to ask this correctly, so I may ask you to unmute here. How do you just take questions and answers in training? So Loretta, do you want to unmute and ask your question?
So I have trouble with Ipower, period. And
Okay.
I try to get on there to get some hours and whatever training they may have. And I don't know where to go. This morning I tried to get on there for the food program, and she got actually she got a address. It's just called CACFP steps. And so I thought I typed that in, and I guess nothing. You understand? Okay.
I could probably help you when we're done, Loretta. Try and find that. If you struggle like that, like you are, you can contact the person that gave you that information. Maybe they can help you walk through that. Always call me. Like I said, if you have a question, I can either walk you through it, or I can just go ahead and batch enroll you. Sometimes we will batch enroll participants if it's kind of a timely issue, but I do like to try and walk somebody through it if I can, because if I teach you, then hopefully the next time you'll know how to use it. So every once in a while we have a provider, for some reason, there's some crazy reason out there why they can never get on here and sign up for their trainings. And that's why we're here. We're more than happy to help you with that. So always don't get frustrated. Just reach out to one of us and ask. We'll be happy to help you. So Loretta, if you need, I can contact you after this and I can help you with that. Okay.
I would appreciate it.
Okay. Is there any other questions, Esty?
I'm not seeing any in the chat. And just a note for all and those who may watch this later on, just a note, Jen is what we call in our region more of a guru of Ipower, but please always know, and she even is learning as she goes here and there since it's a newer system, but please note too that be patient with your consultants. Sometimes they are learning in these pieces too. And like Loretta has probably a great question. Just keep asking them. And I see that someone has their hand raised. Please just unmute and ask.
Hi, this is Jake, Child Care Centers. We just had a general question, of course, about COVID. Just curious what the general consensus is. Have you heard anything about like exclusionary? Are people lessening their rules or back the old way, staying pretty strict, or have you heard anything? Any feedback? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. As of right now, there have been no changes from the guidance from the Department of Human Services. So for now, we are maintaining on the road that everyone has been on. I think a lot of it will come down to what it does is it correlates with the governor's declarations. And so for now, everything is remaining the same that we've been doing. And as soon as we know something, we'll pass that along.
Thank you.
And if those of you who may need additional supplies, or if you're running low, don't hesitate to reach out to your local office. They possibly may have some, can't guarantee they're going to have what you're looking for. I know we're running low on certain supplies, but it doesn't hurt to contact your local office and see if CCR&R can help.
I think we have found that providers did kind of what they could to get through this season of COVID, and maybe you haven't all thought about trainings up until now, but now some of you are starting to think about trainings. And so that's kind of why we wanted to offer this now at this time of the year. We've got providers right now that are in need of trainings. And so if you need us to resend out those calendars, or like I showed you before, you can go to the CCR&R website and look at those. Reach out to us. We do still have lots of trainings that have space available in them. But that being said, we do have some that are filling up. So if you see something that's interesting, I would go ahead and get on there soon and get signed up. Like I said, you do have to wait to be approved for the training. And I mentioned before that you most likely can get into trainings within our region. That doesn't mean that you can't take a training from another region. I don't want you to think that at all. There are many trainings across the entire state, and you can sign up for any training that you want. If you find one in another region, you can go ahead and click on that enroll. You will have to wait to hear, like I said, if you're approved for that. And they are still approving you from other areas across the state, but it just may mean that you're sitting around waiting maybe a little bit longer than you're used to in our region. And if they can fit you in, then they certainly will. Right now as well with our foundational trainings, you know, a lot of times when you come to our trainings, we'll have a big manual that will go along with the training. Right now, what we're doing is sending those out to you in the mail, or doing what we call a drop and dash. And so the consultants are running those out to the providers as well. So if you do take a training and it comes from another region, we will work together with that region to get you the materials that you need for that training as well.
Jen, there are a couple comments and questions in the chat. The first one is, for home providers, are our assistant or subs under us in Ipower?
They can be. If you have a co-provider, they should be. But if it's an assistant or a sub, they can be. Now, they don't have to take the training that the co-provider has to do, so they wouldn't necessarily have to be on there. But sometimes we find that providers like to have their subs take that information, so they're getting that as well. So they certainly can do that, and they can attach themselves to you as the home provider. And if you need help with that, talk to your consultant, because they would be more than happy to help you with that.
Thanks, Jen. Christine has left you all a comment in the chat regarding some supplies. And then I have a message that asks, I don't see a lot of infant training. Will more be added? Or can you speak to maybe if they're lacking certain topics of trainings, how someone can find that, or how do they express that to get that comment to their local training person?
That is actually a really great request. So right now, we're actually, we're the only area in the state that's offering our PITC, which is the Program for Infant Toddler Care trainings. I showed you actually those earlier. We have one starting this Saturday, which is in Mason City, and I'm extremely excited about that because it's full. But we do have a couple of the other sessions that also have space in it. So we have one that's in Austin and one that's in New Hampton. If you want to drive to a face-to-face training, we have those available. We do have some trainings, some virtual trainings that were some infant toddler ones. We ran them earlier in the summer. It's just right now, we are in a time where a lot of times we will offer a mix of our foundational trainings. Not knowing what this year was going to bring us, we kind of pushed back on some of our bigger series trainings, and they all unfortunately kind of fell into the spring. And we get every year an agreement from DHS on the trainings that we have to offer. And all of those series ones we did still have to offer, and they've kind of fallen into the spring. And so right now, what you're looking at would be like the SAM, the School Age Matters training. We do have some ChildNet 3.0s that are going on right now online. You're looking at the PBIS trainings. We already have that one that started virtually. There's a one specifically for home providers, the PBIS for family child care. If you're a home provider, that's the only PBIS training that you want to take. The others do not apply to you and don't count for QRS. But we do have the ECPBIS that's going to be starting in Independence this spring. That one is face-to-face, and there's also the ECPBIS for infant toddlers. That one is in our Allison office, and I believe that one is full at this time. So that's an infant toddler one that's full. But if you have specific requests for trainings like that, always reach out to your consultant and let them know. They relay that information back to me. And that's what we use to plan the trainings. Usually in our normal year, we have the evaluations that we do at the end of every training, those paper forms that you're used to filling out. I take a look at all of those because that really does give me a lot of good information, especially if you write down a training that you're interested in having. We look extremely hard at those. Right now, we're coming up to a time where we're going to be planning, and I don't have those because we haven't done very many face-to-face trainings. So we're relying on the consultants to let us know what they're hearing that you want. So reach out to them and let them know, or shoot me an email and say, hey, I'd like to see this training, or I'd like to see more infant toddler, and we will really try and have those offerings for you. That really does help us a lot. But we are coming up to a time where we're going to start planning now for our trainings from July 1st until December 31st. And so if there's something that you're wanting or needing, let us know, and we'll be happy to try and accommodate that for you this fall.
Thank you, Jen. Really good questions. We have a little under 10 minutes left. I just want to put out a call for questions for Jen, as well as any other comments or questions that you may have while we are on this call. So please do not hesitate. Really good questions so far.
Yeah, and Esty, I was also going to tell you while we're waiting to see if any more questions come in, Erin Clancy, who does manage the Ipower system, is actually going to be creating some videos. She's going to be working with our statewide communication development specialist, and they're going to be working on those videos this spring, and they are going to have them listed on our CCR&R website. And so I'm sure that you will be getting some kind of constant contact, or if you like us on Facebook, make sure you do that as well. We do put our trainings out on Facebook too, when we have new ones, especially coming out, or we have space in trainings that we're trying to fill. Like us on Facebook. That information will come out then, as well as to when those videos will be available. It'll be some of the information that you heard me talk about today, but she will go a little more in depth maybe in those videos and kind of show you how to work through the system. So if you have a question after today, some of those videos will be available as well.
Karen, I'm going to jump to your comment in 2 seconds, but while Jen just said that about Facebook, it just reminded me as well. If you are not getting the DHS guidance pieces that you may have previously received, or if for some reason you've cleaned up your email, please make sure that you have subscribed on our website to that email, those email pieces, because that's where a lot of our DHS information is, as well as what Jen's speaking of. All that stuff comes out, as well as Tara Roddick, who was just speaking earlier. When we get the constant contacts in our region, that's who it's actually coming from. So if you see her email, no, it's not spam. Try to move that into a folder that it will not be lost in the junk. She usually has great information. I shouldn't say usually, it's pretty much always that it pertains to you. We try to be as intentional as possible with those constant contacts so that it's not just a huge mass email. Karen has a comment that says, I would love to see all our kin in the fall.
All our kin in the fall? So it's brand new right now. Starting next week, they are running a series and it's 6 weeks long. They're going to start another series a few weeks after that. And it's a training. If you're not familiar with this, it's specifically for home providers. It's 20 hours of training. And we are going to be looking at offering that within our region. So we can definitely take a look at maybe offering that next fall.
Great. And I have a question here, an apology that you were in the nap room. If we went over this, no apologies needed. We can, no matter what. She says, if I took some classes through early childhood investigation webinars, can I get this training NAC approved?
NAC approval. So I'll just very quickly try and explain NAC approval. So when we have a training that we want to seek NAC approval for, and for some of you, this won't mean a whole lot, but it's the National Administrative Credential, and it's for directors specifically. They're looking for those trainings to keep their NAC credential current, and they need hours for that as well. If you looked on the Ipower earlier, you saw that little icon that was on there that comes up when a training is approved for NAC. In our region, we will seek NAC approval, and I will work with them out in DC to get certain trainings approved for that. And that way we can list it on Ipower and we can advertise that it is NAC approved. But the other piece to this is if you have a training that you feel meets one of the NAC credentials, and there's 10 different areas. If you're a director, you'll know what those are, or you can go to the NAC website and look those up. If you have taken a training that you feel meets those credentials and meets one of those areas, you can go ahead and turn that into NAC and hope that they accept it. So there's two different ways of looking at this. You can take a training that you know is specifically NAC approved because we've sought that approval, and that comes through the training entity. Or you can take a training and a certificate that you've taken for another training that's not being advertised as being NAC approved and try and send that in and see if that will work. So that a training like that, and I'm drawing a blank, I'm sorry, on, did you say early childhood investigations maybe? They would have to apply for NAC approval for that specific training. So I can't unfortunately do that for them. They would have to do that. But you could try and send in a certificate that you may have for one of those trainings and see if it would be accepted for NAC.
Good questions. Don't hesitate, guys. We have just about 3 minutes left in respect to everyone's time. So if you haven't, you feel free to unmute or raise your hand or leave something in the chat. I think we've put quite a few links in the chat. This is recorded, so if you ever need to go back and want to see what Jen did on Ipower, the navigation pieces maybe for the professional development, you will find this. We'll share it out via Constant Contact, but it will also be on our website, on our Communities of Practice peer-to-peer recordings. I guess I could take a moment right now to kind of plug a new project we're doing, and it is coming out of Region 2 for our state. It's called Children's Connection. Emily, if you want to raise your hand, she's our new host, and if you guys want to tune in, it will be around activities and pieces that hopefully you can utilize in your programs. I see a question here. FICRs was revised last year. Will these be in a training this fall?
I hope to have one of those for you within Region 2 this fall. It has been revised. It's now FICRs 3, just like we have the ECRs 3. Right now, they do have some series that are being offered virtually. So if you went on Ipower, you could look right now, and I do happen to know that they're like in the Des Moines area. We have had some providers here that have signed up for that. So once again, you would sign up on Ipower. For the ERS trainings, it's a little bit different. There is a cost if you're doing it virtually because they've got to send you the materials. They will send you the link. If you pay for the training, then you'll be approved as long as the training's not full, and you'll get that information. So there are some going on currently, but we are also in the process of looking at our needs for ERS trainings for Region 2 for next year. I don't know right now if that means that they're going to all be face-to-face or if we'll have a combination of some face-to-face and virtual. I'm guessing that's probably what will happen, but we are, like I said, in the planning stages for that.
And in addition to that, it was, how does this change our QRS?
I don't know that Sarah is on here, and I really would ask Sarah to answer this because she's our QRS specialist. But I believe, if I'm taking my best guess, and Tara, you can help me out here. I believe if you've taken an ERS, you can still use that, that you don't necessarily have to take the most updated one. Is that correct?
There's usually a grace period.
Yes, that's true. However, if you are one of the level 5 candidates, that come out. I believe you will have to have the updated FICRs done. So you will not be able to choose what the old one or the new one. There was a grace period for, I know, ECHRs and ITRs, but after, I believe it was after July 1, 2020, everything was moved to the revised.
If you want to, Christine, if you have further questions with this, or if anyone has further questions of how that may impact their QRS, Jen mentioned Sarah. Sarah Bolin is our QRS specialist, just like Jen's our training specialist. She's our QRS specialist here in our region. She is on a different call at this time, but I am happy to direct your questions to her. My email address is in the chat. I am also, Emily has put in our connection with all of our videos from CCR&R that you may be interested in viewing. And then I've also put in the last here for those of you who have not signed up for our newsletters, DHS notices, updates, things of that sort. Please do make sure that sometimes you accidentally unsubscribe. Make sure that you are subscribed, because this is not junk email, and we don't want you to get confused with it. Our constant contacts and those pieces have a wealth of information in there. So it is 2:01. I was just making sure I double checking. I got a message here. I want to thank everyone for attending this afternoon. Thank you so much, Jen, for helping us through some of these pieces. Tara has also put in her email address. Please check that chat. Make sure that that is not going to spam. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us, contact us. It was so nice to speak with you all and not just talk about COVID. And we hope there's going to be many more conversations like this. Thank you all very much for what you do. And remember, we are always here, Child Care Resource and Referral, as your advocates, as your support, and as your resource. Thank you.
Thank you.